Force News coming out of Alternative Public Radio International. If you want to check our website out, it's all lowercase alternativepublicradiointernational.com. We're streaming live from Restream on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and soon to be many more. So you guys tune in, be sure and share the show, hit the like button if there are any, and use our embed code to stream live from some of your platforms and pages and groups, and encourage your friends to do the same. Really appreciate all of our fans and supporters out there, and just sit back and enjoy the show. Thank you all very much, and we'll turn it over to the live show now.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Strike Force News. Kyler is divulged at the moment. He is in a meeting right now. He'll be joining us live in the studio here shortly. He should be on his way. You can find us on Instagram, Grab, Twitter, Tumble, Speaker, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, D-Life, Rumble. We are all over, people, and we hope everybody's having a very good day today. Hope everybody's enjoyed themselves today, and very interesting topic that we're going off today is the foods. Kyler later on will be here. He will be doing as he promised last night on his show. He's getting a couple more details ironed out in it, so it can be, given out purposely, and so he doesn't have to worry about any major problems. It would be the easiest way to explain it. But yeah, tonight's show is going to be it's going to be intense. It's going to be whatever, like, pretty much a lot of people's nightmares, as they would pretty much call it. Just nothing but cannibalism that is happening without people's consent and people's knowledge of what's really going on. They've literally had manipulated everything with human DNA, pretty much. What was it? I think it was only like 3% of all hot dogs that contain human meat. We see all the time, if you go to the FDA, they're doing all kinds of reports from the labs, and they're coming back with DNA, human DNA. And it's not what a lot of people think. It's not that they're like, making people disappear. It's the fact that they're using the human DNA to modify all the other foods to grow it faster and stronger, because we've learned to manipulate the human tissue to grow at extraordinary rates through steroids. And this is what they're pumping in. We have humanized rats, humanized birds, humanized monkeys. They've literally humanized all animals. And this is the scary part, because we're literally practicing cannibalism and we don't even know it. How you doing, Kyler?
Oh man, I'm okay. How you doing? I'm just kind of trolling in here,
Yeah.
checking you out. Yeah.
Yeah, I told them that you was in a meeting, that you would get here as soon as possible. So
Yeah, I ran in here. I'm kind of out of breath and ready to rock and roll. How's everybody tonight? It's good to see y'all, man. Day. Let me see what's going on here. Cable connected default. Okay, well that's okay. I don't know what that signal was, but it was very interesting. It is 6:05 p.m. on the Pacific clock, 5/25/2023. Alternative Public Radio International, Destiny Global Communications Network, Lone Wolf Radio, and of course the Screaming Crow and the Lone Wolf are here to guide you through this very crazy, twisted, dysfunctional, insane matrix that we're living in today. I'll tell you, it's really just crazy, folks. I got to adjust my camera here a little bit. Put my feet up. I'm getting old. I have to put my feet up, when you get old. But that's one of the privileges of getting old. You can kind of do whatever you want. and people just leave you alone. You hit them with your cane or something. I got a cane I carry around with me. But yeah, we're going to have an interesting show tonight, talking about a very controversial issue, cannibalism, and what they're doing to our food and our drink and all of this stuff. And of course, we talked before, about the injections or the infections, or the integration of genetically modified organisms, and we've talked about the nanobots and the nanoparticulate technologies, and we've talked about the mRNA, but especially the genetically modified organisms in conjunction with the nanoparticulates that they're injecting in the foods over 37. Well, I'm not sure of that number. I'm not going to back myself into a corner. I've been saying that a lot here lately. Chad may need to take me by the doctor's office and have my brain scanned again. But I don't know how many food, but I know it was a lot. It was several thousand foods and things that they have been manipulating in such a terrible way. And I'll tell you something else while we're on the subject of food. Your meats are just cram jam packed full of poison, ladies and gentlemen. And I know that y'all are saying, "Oh my God, here we go again with all this vegan stuff." But it's um, it's important to know what you're feeding your children, yourself, your friends when they come over for dinner. Your neighbors, your coworkers, your family, grandma, grandpa. The meats are just chock full of. They might as well just put Petrobomb in there. They might as well just put formaldehyde in there. By the way, they do. I mean, formaldehyde's in the carpet you're walking on. It's everywhere, and all of these poisons. I couldn't even count them, and they're countless that are in these meats, and they're injecting chickens with all kinds of fluids to pump them up and make them bigger and faster and grow faster, and then they're falling over, and then they're sick and they're dying. It's a horrible, horrible thing. Caged animals. I've never liked to eat caged meat. I don't like it. It just gives me chills. Sends chills up my spine. Marion and I have been to the stockyards, and we've seen these cows walking in their feces this deep, and we've seen them stumbling around and dying and trying to breathe and having respiratory difficulties and then having cardiac arrest. We've watched all of this from a distance with my special ops cameras, and we've seen the chicken houses full of thousands and thousands of chickens sitting there in one spot until they die. When they get through laying, they just chop them up, and we've seen them running the little birds off, making your chicken nuggets. You go to McDonald's and you're like, "Oh, chicken nuggets for the kids." Ah, blah 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 blah. But when you see those little yellow birds that you get on Easter, the little yellow chickens, and how cute they are, they're going beep 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 beep. Well, there's thousands of those are running off the Soylent Green conveyor belt into a chopper, and then there comes your chicken nugget. I just can't. I don't know. I just can't deal with that for some reason. I know people say, "Well, we have to eat animals. It's okay. We got to kill them somehow." But when I used to go to the slaughterhouse with Daddy when I was young over there in Kaufman, Texas, I'd watch them bring those cows through the chute, and they'd get them into the kill room, and the man would be standing there. Um, you know, they hook them up and string them up, upside down, and then they shoot them in the head. Pop, 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 like we do the hogs. We shoot the hogs in the head. Pop, 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 pop. These guys do this all day long. And the hogs are another story. They lay there in the pen. As soon as they have their babies are stripped from them. They're laying there getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. It's horrible. It's horrible. And the cows would be screaming, just literally screaming. I could do it here on air, but I'm not. And they're stripping them. They're cutting. They slit their guts. They take a knife and they just slit them down the middle, and all that gut falls out and hangs. And the cow's bellowing and bellowing and bellowing, and all the cows are bellowing to it, talking to it. You can hear them communicating with each other. "Oh my God, don't come in here. Oh my God, escape." I can hear it right now in my head, and it's horrible. It is literally horrible. I can see now why vegans are going around destroying all these factories and doing all this sabotage and going crazy. I can understand the mentality of people like that because it's a horrible thing. I know people that have literally had to go to therapist after working in meat plants, and that was recently a year ago. They have to go to therapy after working in these slaughterhouses. Um, and tonight, very controversial issue is not only what we started with, which was the regenerative cellular division, creating, the technology to make people walk and to build different organs and do different things through molecular biology. But now we're taking these cell lines from fetuses. Now, about 70 to 100 million babies are aborted every year around the world, okay? And a major percentage of those babies are taken directly into the food and cosmetic and drink market, okay? And they're used in ways that I'm not even going to talk about tonight. But the controversial part is fetal, the fetal cellular divisional computations that go on and the technologies that go on, taking a part of that fetal DNA and putting it in your meat, putting it in your Dr. Pepper and your Pepsi. I've got all these companies. I've just got thousands of companies that use this fetal tissue, fetal cell line to enhance the flavor. Oh, we've got to have, we got to kill babies, and we got to put their parts in our Pepsi, and we got to enhance the flavor and the color and the consistency and all this stuff. They were doing it like Chad said with monkeys, and they started out with monkeys, and then they went to rats, and they tried raccoons, and they tried pot, they tried this, they tried that, they tried everything. Well, they finally started using babies. Okay, and this happened. I've got a little something here. The controversial cells that saved 10 million lives, okay? Numerous vaccines are made using uh, fetal cells, okay, which were taken from the fetus in the 1960s, but their use has also created a moral dilemma, a major moral dilemma. Um, I was going to take you all back to 1612 and the streets of Paris, but I won't because that is just not where I want to go tonight. Um, the young American scientist Leonard Hayflick made a discovery which shocked the world. It turns out ordinary human fetal cells can only divide between 40 and 60 times before they undergo a violent predetermined death. Well, we've talked about this. I have many times on air how 200,000 years ago our DNA was manipulated, and these uh, these terminal tracks were added to the end of the helix to create death between 80 and 120 years old. But before that, people were living hundreds and even thousands of years. Okay, but the extraterrestrials, the beings, the deities, the angels, the whatever you want to call them, okay, in your language, in your tradition, they decided, hey, we can't have this, so we're going to just make it around 120 years, okay? Some people live a little longer than that, but not very often. But it shocked the world to find that human fetal cells can only divide between 40 and 60 times before they undergo a violent, predetermined death. This strict cutoff is known as the Hayflick limit, if y'all want to look up the Hayflick limit, and it has two important consequences. Firstly, our current lifespans might not be constrained by the way we live our lives or our diets and so on. And we've proven this many times by people that have smoked Camel non filters and drank themselves to death and died at 95, 100 years old. Okay. It's possible that there are built in limits, okay, limits to how old it's possible to get. In fact, you multiply the number of cells in the human body by the average time it takes for cells to reach the Hayflick limit, you end up with exactly 120 years. If y'all want to do the calculations on that, okay? The oldest person who ever lived was Jeannie Clement, and she made it to 120 years and 164 days, uncannily close. Secondly, it's difficult to find cells that scientists can grow in the laboratory, an essential step in the production of many drugs and vaccines, because cells are mortal individually. They're mortal, okay? Meaning they're not eternal, they're mortal. In the production of many drugs and vaccines, because cells are mortal individually in the avatar or the program or the calculation. If you grow them in a petri dish, sooner or later they will stop dividing and die. And this is the problem. I've talked about this before. We're back to the uh, technology that was used on the helix to create the 120-year lifespan, and no longer. If you'll read Genesis, it says, do we want them to be like us? And the answer was no. So let's just let them die at 120 years old instead of 600 or 800 years old. This is the story of the cells that helped to overcome this obstacle and their controversial origins at the clinic in Sweden. This started in Sweden. Why are they so special? How can we justify continuing to use them given the way they were obtained? Okay. It's a hidden crisis. Before Hayflick's discovery, scientists had got around the division limit by continually replenishing their cell supplies with fresh ones from new animals, okay, or using carcinogenic cells. And I'm sure you've heard about the woman that we're still using her carcinogenic cells today. Okay, I'm not going to get in. Most of y'all know that story. Since cancer doesn't play by the same rules as healthy tissue, and will keep growing indefinitely, okay, and exponentially. But scientists were urgently in need of another way because they needed, we need fast production, 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 money, money, profit, profit, okay? So in the 1960s, the polio vaccine used in the United States hadn't been hit by calamity. Okay, some vaccines are made by growing viral particles in cells, okay, inside of cells, and then killing or weakening them so they can't cause disease. Okay, we want to make them as sterile as possible and as controlled environment as possible. These inactivated particles become the active ingredient, okay, the part that teaches the immune system what to look out for, okay. I know I can hear some of you saying, sinustorm, sinustorm, yeah. For decades, though, the polio vaccine had been made in cells taken from monkey kidneys, okay, some of which it was later discovered were infected by a virus, simian virus 40. You've heard about SV40, the simian virus. It's been around today. Though today vaccines are extensively filtered, ha 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 ha, yeah, yeah, whatever, and don't contain any material, blah, 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 from the cells they're grown in, okay, between 1955 and 1963, it's been estimated that up to 30 million people were infected in the United States alone. The contamination is thought to have occurred because the cells were usually grown fresh from monkeys as opposed from a stock of laboratory cells, which would be eventually fetal cells. And SV40 is a common infection in the most widely used species, the rhesus macaque monkeys, as most of you already know. Now, whether the introduction of the virus had any medical consequences is still under question, as is the possibility that it is spreading to people who were never vaccinated. This is called shedding, by the way, today. Okay. In the laboratory, the virus has been shown to be carcinogenic, and a possible link between the virus and several types of cancers, from brain cancer to lymphoma, has been investigated, but there still hasn't been any definite, the jury's still kind of out on that. Nevertheless, it suddenly became necessary to find an alternative. Here's where we come in, an alternative to the monkey, okay? Now, in 1962, Hayflick made another fantastic discovery, okay? And this is where the controversy starts. Without it, most of you listening to my voice right now would probably not even be here at all. You'd be dead. Now, I want you to think about this very carefully before we move on, because this is a part of the controversy, but you're not getting the whole story. You're not getting all of the information like Chad and I are used to doing here. We're giving you an opportunity to weigh up the differences in this, okay? So in 1962, Hayflick comes along and makes this fantastic, earth-shaking discovery. Okay, and without it, you probably wouldn't be here listening to the show right now. Okay, and this came from Jay Alansky, an expert in biodemography and gerontology at the University of Illinois in Chicago. It began when nameless women like today, our poor women are being paid $5,000 under the table in the ghetto to let the baby be rolled down the hall alive and let them rip its guts out and sell them all over the world and get all of the stem cells out and put it in your meat and your steak and your Pepsi and your Dr. Pepper. Okay. It began when a nameless woman who was 3 months pregnant had a legal abortion in Sweden. And as the author of Meredith Weidman wrote in her book, The Vaccine Race, Science, Politics, and the Human Cost of Defeating Disease, the fetus wasn't incinerated at that time. It wasn't buried. It wasn't thrown away. Guess what? Instead, it was wrapped in sterile green cloth and sent to the Karolinski Institute in northwest Stockholm. And this is where the mystery begins. At that time, Hayflick was sourcing the cells he used for his research from this institution. Sourcing the cells. Who are we talking about here? Dr. Fauci. Let's go. Oh, is that a parallel? Do I see a parallel in Wuhan? Do I see a parallel in gain of function? Oh, look out. Hayflick was sourcing the cells he used for his research institution in his laboratory at the Worcester Institute in Philadelphia. He managed to incubate some of the tissue in several glass bottles at 37 centigrade, 98 Fahrenheit. He added an enzyme to break down the protein that bound the cells together, like oxine does, or graphene, as well as growth medium. Okay, growth medium is what we need in the petri dish to keep these things alive, a solution which contained the nutrients they needed to divide. And after a few days, he was left with a continuous sheet of beautiful cells. Okay, beautiful cells. Okay, one of these cells eventually turned into the cell line WI38. Y'all can look this up if you want to. Where Chad and I always like to give you the numbers. Okay, the statutes and the ordinances and what comes down from the on high with the SCOTUSes and the POTUSes, which stands for Worcester Institute POTUS 38. Okay. Over the ensuing years, frozen vials of the cells were flown. Listen to this. Frozen vials of the cells were flown to hundreds, thousands of laboratories around the world. WI 38 is now one of the oldest and most widely available cell lines on the planet Earth. Okay. As Hayfleck noted previously, although perhaps rather insensitively, as early as 1984, WI 38 had become the first cultured normal human cell population to ever reach voting age. Today, the cells are routinely used to make vaccines against polio, measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, zoster, chickenpox, of course, in parentheses, herpes, zoster, and norovirus, rabies, and hepatitis A. Why are these cells so special, and how can we justify continuing to use them? Let me tell you this, and then I'm going to get some of Chad's discovery and comment. Soon after Hayflick discovered that cells are mortal, okay, all scientists would love to find anything immortal, that they could use in their laboratory, but obviously they can't. So they had to figure out some Frankensteinian thing, So we go to the human, right? We find the human, we find the babies, and we go, oh, wow, listen to this. Hayflick discovered that cells are mortal. When he figured this out, he realized that if you siphon some off each time they divide and freeze them, A single source can theoretically provide an almost unlimited supply. Guess how many? 10 sextillion in total. 10 sextillion in total. Now, the same lady who's famous on Wikipedia for her cancer cells being eternal, okay, are in line with this for the world's book of record here, okay? This is the same type of situation. We're looking at 10 sextillion. So now they had their answer. Now they had their answer. And though WI38 cells are mortal because the cells had divided relatively few times when they were collected, they could be grown for longer before they reach the Hayflick limit, which is what? Okay. Most WI38 cells have 50 divisions left, which each take 24 hours to complete so they can be grown continuously for 50 days before you need to start again. Okay. Now, all of you legal eagles and all of you mathematicians and all of you philosophers out there are just watering at the mouth right now. Now, this is what it came down to. There are hundreds of cell lines available in the United States. WI38 makes up the majority of the cells used together with just one other, and that's MRC5 cells named after the initials of Medical Research Council where they were collected, were obtained from the lungs of another 3-month old foetus. Okay, we call them foetuses in scientific jargon. Another foetus, okay, and um, this was a 3-month old foetus. This time the abortion happened in England in 1966 for psychiatric reasons. They used to do this. Women would come in screaming, and they didn't know what premenstrual dysphoria was back then. They didn't know about mental illness, so they would just say, "Oh, we have to abort this baby because this woman's crazy." This happened all the time. So doctors got used to saying, "Oh, this woman's crazy. Abort. This woman's crazy. Abort. This woman's a little excited. Abort." So they were aborting babies right and left, and they were selling them to the pharmaceutical companies. And then the pharmaceutical companies said, "Hey, wait a minute, we can use this in Prozac. Wait, we can use this in diazepam. We can use this in oxycodone. We can put this in bufferin and Excedrin PM. And wait a minute, cough syrup. And oh, wait a minute, the food industry got a hold of it. They all had a big meeting and said, wait a minute, this stuff. Let's look at this and see what all we can do with this. Must be something more. Why don't we put it in everybody's food and drink?" So now we've got like thousands and thousands of companies who produce all of your food and all of your drinks and all of your personal cosmetics that you put on your face, women. You're putting aborted fetus all over your face. You're putting aborted fetus all over your hair. You're washing your hair with aborted fetus. You're cleaning your private parts with aborted fetuses. You're washing your feet with aborted fetuses. You're taking douches with aborted fetuses. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel real good? Well, it's kind of hard to get away from this stuff because it's everywhere. I mean, it's everywhere. I'm sure Chad's going to want to comment on the everywhere thing. I mean, it's not like you can go live off grid because you can't. I mean, it's not like you can be in a clean room. It's not like you can find a free, clean environment. It's going to be bacteria free and virus free and pathogen free. It's going to be pesticide free and herbicide free. It doesn't exist. Organic food doesn't exist because it seeps in through every orifice in the existent matrix. There's no way to have anything organic. When people say, "Oh, this is organic," no, it's not. No, it's not. It's
It's
impossible.
genetically modified.
Well, it's impossible. You've got too
Mhm.
many cracks in the matrix. There's too
Yep.
many things coming in from a billion different directions. It can't be organic. It's either been rained on, it's either been breathed on, it's either been farted on, it's either been put somewhere here where the air is getting to it, or the humidity's getting to it, or the water's getting to it, or the ground's getting to it, or whatever. It's not organic. So anyway, Chad, would you like to make a few comments? This was pretty heavy, what I said, you know.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is people they hear like it's funny because when Steve Harvey come out and they put the red lotion in his hand and then they admitted, yeah, it's human fetus cells. You know what I mean? Like he freaked out and there was a big shock. But it's like everyone in the celebrity industry is using all these lotions and everything else. It's like it's literally everywhere. You cannot take, as you said, a Tylenol, Advil, ibuprofen, Excedrin. It's all in there. It's in every medication you take. They use it as a form of binding. It's so the body really doesn't reject what they're putting in the foreign object because the body's going to recognize, that cellular structure. So it's almost like giving the drug a code to be able to adapt into your body. The food you eat. People are like, "Oh, I'll go fish in the ocean." Well, guess what? All of our DNA is in the ocean as well, and these fish are eating our DNA. And then they're being modified with this DNA as well. All these cells, like everything is humanized. Everything is humanized. And if you don't believe me, why do you think they're testing all these animals for human diseases? This is why they use ferrets, rats, guinea pigs. This is why they use them because everything's already meshed with the human DNA already. I mean, it's a scary thing to think you're going to go eat a Snickers, but you're eating cells.
Aborted fetal cells. Let me also make something perfectly clear. Okay, it's virtually impossible to escape this. It's virtually impossible to hide from this. It's virtually impossible to get away from this. And it's completely impossible to reverse the process that's already been started. Now, when we embalm somebody at the funeral home, we tilt the table down to the kitchen sink. Might as well be the kitchen sink. And we dump all of your blood and guts and all of your fluids down the sink, and it goes straight into your iced tea and a coffee. Okay. When we're at the morgue and we're draining blood and guts and fluids and all of these cerebral spinal fluids and all of these liferous and viscerous fluids, they're all going down the sink right into your coffee and tea. Okay. When you take a breath, okay, every time you breathe, you're breathing in 100 billion people. Every time you take a breath, you're cannibalizing. Every time you take a breath, you're breathing in. When you drink water, you're drinking the same water that Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon drank 200,000 years ago. Okay, you're drinking the same water that Tyrannosaurus drank or the dinosaurs drank. Okay, water can neither be destroyed or created. Energy can be neither destroyed or created due to the thermodynamic principle. So I want you all to understand when you're drinking your coffee and your tea, think about all the Kotex you're drinking, the women's vaginal fluids and blood. Think about all of the psychotropics you're getting into your children's body, okay, and your body, grandma and grandpa's body. Think of all the psychotropics that they're finding in there. Think of all the fluoride that's dumbing you down and burning your brain to a complete crisp, okay, when you're drinking this water. Think about all the blood and guts that you're ingesting. So you're a cannibal anyway. I mean, you were a cannibal before Chad and I ever told you about the cellular division, the fetal cellular divisions in technology. So how does it feel to be a cannibal? You know, some of you say, "Well, I can't help it. This is just impossible. I don't even think it's well. It is. It's possible, and you are a cannibal." Okay. Now, what do I think about all this? I'm a scientist. Okay, I'm a mad scientist. I think it's great. It's wonderful. Okay. I was all for stem cell research when people were picketing and killing themselves and pulling their hair out and running up and down the streets naked, screaming. I was all for stem cell research because it saved millions of people from total incapacitation. Okay. It's created all kinds of healing powers that are just unbelievable and incomprehensible, as has the vaccine, putting the fetal cell tissue and incorporating it with the vaccine has kept you all here. You wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for that. okay, you wouldn't be here. So what are you going to say? Well, I wouldn't have my kid. You wouldn't have your kids. You wouldn't have your grandkids if it wasn't for fetal cell tissues. So Chad, I put a twist on this, didn't I? What are you going to say about that?
Well, see, like I'm like you. Like when the stem cell research was out, I believed in it. I believed that somebody was going to go ahead and have the abortion. They're going to have it anyways. I mean, abortion is just a thing of morals, honestly. Um, but anyways, I believe if somebody was going to take a life of an infant, then I believe that infant's life should go to better things. And just to waste it, in my opinion, is just ludicrous. Because one infant could save like 200 people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It could have blind people being able to see again, uh, paraplegic, quadriplegics being able to walk again, people losing half their brain and due to tumors can regrow brain cells. It's an amazing thing. Like I am on the stem cell research, but it is pretty heavy to think that every single thing that we do, eating them cells, like there's no way around it. That's the sad part. We ain't gonna get around it. We can't get around it. We just got to deal with it. And as you was explaining to me, cannibalism is actually a pretty popular thing around the world. It's not nothing that's taboo to a lot of people. It's pretty common for all the cannibalism to be out there. A lot of your tribes in South America, they still practice cannibalism. There's
Well,
people in the United States that practice it.
in many of the countries, they go out and they'll put the dead in a tomb, and you can actually go to Faces of Death 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you can see the doctor, the medical examiner, actually going in and taking pictures and infiltrating these tribes and watching them eat the maggots off of the decomposing body in the cave. The family will go in there and have a picnic, and they'll eat the maggots off the body. I'm a mad scientist, and I'm crazy. Okay, I'm a mad scientist. I am Frankenstein. Okay, Dr. Frankenstein. When my mother died, I ate part of her ashes, her bones. I ingested them. I wanted to ingest my mother. I wanted her to become a part of my DNA. I wanted to see what that was like. Y'all think that's crazy, don't you? Well, I've done a lot crazier things that I won't talk about here. Okay, but that's I wanted to get a I wanted to do that. I smelled it. I smelled so much of that, and I've embalmed so many bodies, and I've cremated so many bodies, and I've autopsied so many bodies, and I've cut out so many brains, and I've done the V cut for the ME, and taken out so many organs, and I've dissected so many babies, and I've burned so many bodies in my ovens, and I wanted to see what that was like. Hello, Marinia, Carisha,
Marina.
Marina. Nice to see you here. So anyway, I took that. I did that experiment. I took my mother. I wanted to be close to her. I wanted to stay close to her. I never wanted to lose her. I loved her more than anything in this world. So I just ate part of her. Chad, am I a cannibal? Or am I crazy? Am I insane? Do I need to be locked up in an institution? Do I? Am I? What?
No. It's just okay. Let's be real about stuff. There's people that work jobs. Okay. There's people that drink their own pee. That they wanted to taste their own pee, not for this. Just wanted to know what it tastes like. Curiosity. You see what I'm saying? Or some people that like wanted to taste their own feces or excrements, whatever you want to call it. But you got normalized to it. Okay. So it wasn't taboo for you to be around because you used to, use the incinerator. So you was around it. So you already knew what it smelled like. You already knew what it felt like. You already knew all aspects, but you didn't know what it tasted like. And it's almost like a symbolic thing to be like, okay, well, the first time I'm going to taste ashes would be my mom's. Do you
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? It's more of a symbolic thing than in my eyes, because that's how I see it.
You seem like the kind of guy now that you've heard this that you would do something like that.
Yeah.
And it's a spiritual experience as well as an experimental type of thing, as well as a great curiosity, as well as a wanting to meld with my mother. I didn't want to lose her. I didn't want to throw her away. I didn't know what to do. So I ate her. No, I didn't eat her. I only ate some, but I sprinkled the rest around. But as I was doing it, I want to say this to my audience, our audience. For a moment, I felt like Jeffrey Dahmer or something. I just for a moment, I felt, oh my God, what have I done? What kind of person am I? What I mean, oh my, But then I thought about it. As I thought about it, it became more spiritual and it became more natural. And okay, everything's fine. Okay, cool it, you know. So it was all right. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that I did have that feeling for a moment there that I'd gone insane. And I'm sure
Well,
a lot of people out there would say, "Oh, Kyler's insane. This guy's crazy. He's probably a serial killer at nighttime." But I'm
okay,
not.
let's be real about it. So when you get a lot of people that toss out the ashes, right? They always do it barehanded. They don't realize that their bare hands, them ashes are soaking into their skin because of the moisture that we have on our skin. So it's already going into the body. You're already consuming it. They don't want to look at it that way.
Right.
That's how I see it. It's the same thing, but it's just you did it to where somebody thinks it's taboo. It's all about morals again. That culture, that system that just screws everything up.
Well, look at the people I said in the caves eating the maggots off of their loved ones.
Yeah,
They
there
wanted to
ain't no
keep the
difference.
spirit. They wanted to
Yeah.
keep the spirit. Look at New Orleans. Go to New Orleans at the Day of the Dead. Go to the Day of the Dead in any country. I've been in two countries. Go to the Day of the Dead. Watch them go out to the cemetery and take their bodies out of the tomb and set it up in a chair and have a picnic and dress it in brand new clothes and a new hat and set it up and just have a ball all weekend. And then they do that every Day of the Dead. That sounds ludicrous to some people? I've had people tell me that these people should all be locked up. They should all be put in behavioral health. They should all be injected with Thorazine. They should be killed. They should be hung. It's a desecration. But it's just a cultural thing. It's just a traditional thing. It's just the way they're programmed, their indoctrination, their lifestyle, their mindset. Right, Chad?
Absolutely. And it's weird how that is. Just like prime example here in the United States, you tell somebody that you've eaten some horse meat when you went overseas, and like, oh my God, you ate horse? Oh, that's so disgusting. But overseas, it's a delicacy. But it's only
Right.
because of culture. Like in the Philippines, they eat rats. People here in America, oh my God, they eat rats. Well, that's a
Well,
delicacy
let
there.
let me please add to that in Southeast Asia they eat. I mean, in India, they drink cow piss for breakfast because it's
Yeah.
good for you, and for dinner, and a little martini of cow piss at noon is good for you.
Hmm.
I've tasted a little piss myself. I've done it all, but by the way, but I have to find out everything. I'm just one of those. I have to find out. I have to find out. I'm a scientist, and so there's a lot of rituals around the world that people would just literally throw up if they knew what was going on with these different people. But I want people on this show to be able to be multicultured. I want them to be aware of everything that's going on around the world and the differences that we have around the world, the different perceptions, the different realities that we create, the different traditions and creeds, and the different dogmas and religions, and the different stories and myths, and the different gods and deities, and all of these kinds of things. People need to broaden their scope, and that allows people to develop their compassion and their empathy and their intuitiveness and discernment, and it makes them more synchronistic and brings them into a higher level of awareness and consciousness, and it allows them to be more loving and more understanding and more forgiving and more able to interact with and have intercourse with others in a communicative way on a more balanced field, you see. Hello, Jessica. Good to have you here. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you all. Share the show tonight. Please share the show everywhere you possibly can. We love you all so much and we thank you all for being here. I would like to take a moment, if I may, to segue into something. As you know, we are investigators. As you know, we are investigative journalists. As you know, we are forensic investigators. As you know, I'm a former operative and have been around a little bit the block here and there. This old country boy has. And as you know, I've gotten into some pretty heavy, 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 dangerous investigations. And I've gotten several of these that I wouldn't even allow anyone to see. But I'm going to read a death threat on Marion and I right now that we've received, and I want you all to see the kind of work that we're into here and what Chad has walked into here. It's a very dangerous situation, very dangerous life that we lead investigating these crimes for you all. We're trying to get the bad guys, as they say, and sometimes it's very dangerous. And I want to read. I want to read the latest threat that we got here. Chad, this is a new one for him. Chad hasn't even heard this. I haven't brought this out of the vault. The assassin yesterday, 9:11 p.m. Hello, Mr. Kyler Davenport. Accept the request to view the image. Yesterday, 9:13 p.m. Second communique. Attention, Mr. CIA. You don't know my name. All I have to tell you right now is that someone close to you, possibly a former agent or operative, has paid us to murder you, your family, and anyone around you. And also, we are coming not just to kill you, we will kidnap anyone around you. We also have your full details here, photos and address, all of your personal data, the address of your home, where you go, and all of your travels. Let me get rid of this phone here ringing. The person that sent us to murder you through contract has given us your full information and how you are going and coming out. Just get ready because we will visit you at any time when you least expect it. And if you make any attempt to contact the FBI or the police, we will know it. We are going to wipe your family out from the first to the last. In order to save yourself from this danger coming to you, you will have to negotiate with us. You will have to make payments of $4,000 in installments until we say different to free yourself from this coming, what is coming to you, because we're not just coming for good, my friend. You have to watch the video attached to this message and see what kind of work we do. Contact this email. I can't give you that address so we can tell you how to make the payment. Failure to contact us within 24 hours will put the contract into full motion. The assassins will be on the way. At that time, we will proceed with our mission of destruction and mass murder upon you and your family. Your investigations have crossed the line, my friend, into deadly and dangerous territory that you have been in before. As I said, we know your background. You will not pay with your life and the lives of all those. If you do not, you will pay with your life and the life of all of those you love. Beware. We are watching. Chad?
I mean, I know it's a scary thing, but it's they don't bother me. Like death threats, I've had a lot of. I laugh at them.
Uh, no, you shouldn't do that, my friend. We sent this to our contacts at Interpol. This is one of the most dangerous groups of people on the planet, my friend. You need to watch what you say here on air. You shouldn't laugh at all. They're talking about my family here. These are serious people. You've never dealt with even MS-13 like I have face to face. You may have been a cage fighter, but you haven't been Kyler Davenport. These people make MS-13 look like olive oil on Popeye the Sailor Man. Okay. Now, I'm going to forgive you for that laugh this time. I want to read something to you all. Again, it's classified information that I promised I would read tonight. And again, Chad has not heard this because I didn't want to put him in danger, but now I'm going to put him in danger just because he laughed a while ago. I'm going to have him killed. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm going to read this classified document to you all, and I cannot tell you who wrote it, but you will know who wrote it, and you'll know instantaneously who wrote it when I read it. And when I read this to you, this is an investigation that I was working on indirectly, and a certain lieutenant colonel, infiltrated a very deep, dark meeting of some very specific people out at Davos in the World Economic Forum, and was able to go underground and pick this up on a very, very expensive, highly technological spy uh, audio receiver. And I'm going to read this to you all, and I think you already know who this is talking. I think you'll know instantly. And I'm anxious to hear Chad's comments on this after that little foompa he made a while ago, laughing at this very serious matter. I'm interested for him to get more serious about this because this is deadly serious, and Chad knows about this. He knows what's going on. He knows this is real. He knows this is not something to laugh about because we're living it right now. And when I'm serious, I'm building this up because when I read this, you all are going to trip. This is real. This is not something made up. This is not woo woo. This is not fiction. This is not voodoo. This is not conspiracy. This is real. Okay? I promised it, and here it comes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The Great Reset. The COVID 19 crisis was an opportunity to address the burning issues facing the world and gauge the reactions and interactions and social media communications around the globe concerning this COVID 19 agenda. Our AI was fully alert and present in the machine learning calculative area and paradigm to be able to assist and assess in these calculations. We have received more than 8 million interactions on Facebook and have been shared almost 2 million times on Twitter since the World Economic Forum initiative was launched. The COVID 19 plan has made everyone in this auditorium rich beyond all comprehensible measures and will continue well into the future. We have amassed multi trillions of dollars over the last 25 years as operational capital to ensure our missions are well funded. The Great Reset is our global plan to instate a communist world order by abolishing private property as well as all human rights and so called liberties. While using COVID 19 to solve overpopulation and enslaving what remains of humanity with vaccines and more deadly pathogens to come and lockdowns and quarantines, as well as Agenda 2150 and 30. Our focus on the children has been very successful, but we need to up our game. And the demoralizing and dehumanizing of the human populations around the world have gone beyond our expectations. I am so happy and pleased tonight to report this. Our underground bases and space based colonies are fully staffed and fully operational at this time. Our quantum computers are now processing information per second at speeds beyond human comprehension. And we have mastered the art and science of hacking the brains of all humans on the planet. We are mapping and gathering data on every atom that exists within space-time continuum. And this will grow exponentially exponential over the next year. I am proud to say that we are now in full control of every aspect of human behavior and capital and human activity on the planet. The global spy grid is fully connected and active and running at full capacity. Our strategic planning and global intelligence agents will continue to misinform, misdirect, and control all national, international, global media and formulate the narrative set forth by special councils worldwide that have been designated and put under oath by this council. The real great reset is my concern. Stakeholder capitalism is now a reality, and human activity and behavior and consciousness are now under our full control. I am so happy to officially announce that global dominance has been achieved. The idea that global capitalism should be transformed so that corporations no longer focus solely on serving shareholders but create and hold the illusion that we are custodians of society by creating values for our customers, suppliers, employees, communities, and other stakeholders who follow the new mandated narrative we have put forth in a way to keep our true agendas behind closed doors and hidden as we have for years since our inception. The way the World Economic Forum sees stakeholder capitalism being carried out is through a range of multi stakeholder partnerships bringing together the private sector, governments, and civil societies across all areas of global governance, who has signed the agreements and are bound by the secrecy oaths and the decrees that have been set forth by this council. Corporations will now have full and complete power over society and slowly eliminate all forms of elusive and fictional democracy or any other fictitious forms of governance, constitutions, or bills of rights. We are now initiating our plans for a global police state. AI will be incorporated into this massive police state. Some of the most sophisticated technology known to mankind is already at our disposal. Any and all forms of insurrection will be put down immediately. Any form of self governance will not be tolerated, and punishments will be harsh and swift. We have all of the data on every global citizen that has ever touched a piece of electronic equipment, and we have given them a number. Our ability to target individuals through direct targeting and voice to skull technology and other technologies, groups and organizations, and cities and counties and countries and townships and states with our weapons of destruction is without exception the most powerful and diverse in the history of mankind. Any and all groups coming together to alter our plans and agenda will be and are considered enemies of the state at this time and will be placed on our hit list and dealt with in due time. Taking the children will be our first and most effective deterrent for any attempt to go against the narrative that we have put forth with this council. The plan from which the Great Reset originated was called the Global Redesign Initiative, drafted by the WEF after the 2008 economic crisis. The initiative contains a 600-page report, which I have read, on transforming global governance and blockchain, putting the children on the blockchain. In the WEF's vision, the government voice would be one among many, but never, ever the final arbiter. Governments will be just one small stakeholder in a multi stakeholder model of global governance as long as they follow the rules of the Global Council and do not deviate. We will allow the illusion of local, state, and federal governments to exist until 2026 to keep the masses asleep and give them the illusion of freedom and liberty. We have engineered the most comprehensive proposal for redesigning global governance since the formulation of the United Nations during World War II. Before that, the League of Nations. We were there. Our people were there. Multi stakeholder partnerships are public-private partnerships on the global stage. As you all know, our syndicate has made it mandatory that only high net worth individuals who have agreed to our global governance decrees will be brokers on the blockchain in this new human capital system. WEF partners include some of the largest companies in oil: Saudi Aramco, Shell, Chevron, BP, Food, Unilever, Coca Cola, Nestle, Technology, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and all pharmaceutical companies, including those here tonight. I want to thank you, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, and others, and many others who are present here tonight. I honor all of you. Our new global plan assures that instead of corporations serving many stakeholders in the multi stakeholder model of global governance, corporations are promoted to being official stakeholders and controllers in global decision making, while governments are relegated to being one of many small stakeholders, but will remain completely subservient to the World Economic Forum. Hell, hela! Corporations become the main stakeholders of the globe while governments take a backseat role, and civil society will be just a window dressing. The multi stakeholder ecosystem, as you are all very much aware, we made a very controversial strategic partnership agreement the United Nations signed with the WEF in 2019, and a move to turn the UN into a public private partnership, creating a special place for corporations inside the UN. The United Nations is the central core and ground zero for all global corporations residing in this oath keeping organization of the WEF. The multi stakeholder model is already in place around the world, and the ever expanding ecosystem of multi stakeholder groups has spread across all sectors of the global governance system. There are now more than 45 global multi stakeholder special operative groups that set standards and establish guidelines and rules in a range of areas. These groups, which lack any democratic accountability, consist of private stakeholders who recruit their friends in government, civil society, and all universities and educational systems to join them in solving public problems, but all the while doing our bidding. Multi stakeholderism is the WEF's update of multilateralism, which is the current system through which countries work together to achieve common goals. Doesn't that sound so sweet? The multilateral system's core institution is the UN. Instead of reforming the multilateral system to deepen democracy, our vision of multi stakeholder government entails completely removing this fictional and completely obscured concept of fictional democracy by sidelining governments and putting unelected stakeholders, mainly corporations, in their place when it comes to global decision making. Government will not prevail. Our association and close relationship with the Central Intelligence Agency and other agencies have allowed us to initiate and infiltrate every country in the world and put our agents firmly in place. And those who would not conform have been assassinated or are on the list of elimination. Put bluntly, multi stakeholder partnerships are public private partnerships on the global stage, and they have real world implications for the way our food systems are organized, how big tech is governed, and how our vaccines and medicines are distributed to ensure our plans for complete depopulation of the globe. And they will be successful in our demand for complete submission of all global citizens, or they will face elimination beyond the vaccine. In autumn of 2021, the United Nations is set to host the World Summit on Food Systems (FSS) in Rome, Italy. This is necessary given that 3.9 billion people, more than half of the world's population, are currently battling hunger and malnutrition. Even though there is enough food to feed the world, we are in complete control of holding and hoarding. We will use these fantastic opportunities to further increase the plans for immediate depopulation. Abandoning pesticides is not on the table. There is no discussion on land concentration or holding companies accountable for the environmental and labor abuses. You will not suffer any penalties. This fits into the bigger picture of multinational corporations which dominate the food sector being reluctant to fix the production system. We are here to come up with the new investment opportunities. I must say that war has made this group trillions upon trillions, and war has made us more powerful and more dominant. We shall continue on this course of targeted destruction. A new agreement with the World Economic Forum gives multinational corporations complete influence, complete control, and dominance over all matters of global governance. Now, corporations can protect their interest and hide behind these platforms because it's unclear who is there. You will be invisible and impossible to find. Indeed, a corporate partner list is nowhere to be found on the official website with corporate involvement in the summit. And total and complete agreement with the WEF agenda food will now continue to be treated as a commodity. Food will now be treated as a commodity. We are in control. It will not be a human right. If unchanged, this would interfere with our depopulation agenda to balance out the world population to 500 million by 2050, and this must be accomplished, and it will be accomplished. Another landmark in the development of stakeholder capitalism can be found in the big tech sector as a part of 2020 roadmap for digital cooperation. The UN Secretary General called for the formation of a new strategic and empowered multi-stakeholder, high-level, top-secret body that will run under the cloak of national security. Again, I want to thank all roundtable attendees, especially our special agents, roundtable participants, for the roadmap that includes Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and the WEF. Resistance against effective regulation, both globally and nationally, and increasing dominance and complete control and power over governments and multilateral organizations will be impossible now that we have achieved our goals and mission objectives. This is a decisive victory in the ongoing war. GAFAM, Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft is waging a war with the people. We have taken total dominance. You will not worry about tax evasion or antitrust rules or any other penalties or perjuries in this ever standing power that we have over society. More than 170 civil groups worldwide have signed another open letter to the General Secretary UN, this time to prevent our digital governance body from forming. The Secretary General has been instructed that he also will be eliminated. COVAX has been set up as a multinational stakeholder group by two other multinational stakeholder groups, GAVA, the Vaccine Alliance, and CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, in partnership with the World Health Organization, which will be the global governing body. Biden just signed the bill. Both Gavi and CEPI have strong ties without global partners and the World Economic Forum, which was one of the founders of CEPI, as well as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which we control, of companies like Pfizer, GlaxoSmithKline, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson through manufacturing partnerships with GAVA, are the supporters of CEPI. Even though COVAX is funded predominantly by governments, it is our corporate centered coalitions that are overseeing its rollout or in complete control. I'm almost done here. We will have full control of all political activities in the world and have full control of the people in all countries as well as the governments that we have put in place through our economic hitmen. This new world order agenda will eliminate all human rights and constitutions and any and other all forms of governance. As I have stated many times in these private meetings, we will continue to give the masses the illusion of freedom and government while we continue our plans of destruction and further our objectives. Fear has been the most powerful tool for our overall mission and keeping the masses dumbed down and diverted from what has been called false flags. This concept of human capital based on credit scoring will make us trillions upon trillions. Our mind control technologies are hiding in plain sight as they always have. And we are now capable of things never imagined in human history. Our ongoing relationship with the Galactic Federation is strong and will continue to give us the edge in science and technology. We control the ground and we control the air and we control all of nature that propel us into this new age and secure our place in history as the master race that we have worked for so many years to attain. Our next gathering will focus on the simulation game theory, which Kyler Davenport, by the way, is an expert in transhumanism, artificial intelligence, artificial superintelligence, machine learning, synthetic biology, the matrix, the metaverse. I want to thank you all now. I must go. I want to thank you all for coming. And I want to thank all of you for making the WEF the most powerful syndicate in the world.
Carl Schwab.
Quiet,
Is that who it was?
quiet. So, without mentioning any more names, Mr. Big Shot, tell me what you think.
Yeah. That's powerful.
They're cutting
That's
us off, she said. Now I know why they're cutting us off.
yeah.
This
That's
was this was breaking news that Chad and I have broken. No, this news is nowhere in the world except here.
and it's the first I'm hearing of it too, people. I'm trying to take in all what was said. It's a lot. Phew.
Well, Chad, think what do you think?
Well, he's got
Think a minute. Take a breath.
they've really taken every option of defeating it completely away from us, pretty much.
Hmm. Oh, it's game over. I told you.
Yeah. And as it said, what, the 2026 people, that's less than 3 years away. That's 2.5 years away. That means to tell you there's going to be a lot happening from now for the next 2.5 years. It's going to be epic. It's going to be biblical, as people would say. Think about it. They literally have control of everything. The industries aren't going to get fined for whatever they do. They can put whatever they want in your food. They could kill you with their food, and they're not going to get held, accountable for anything they do. Ruin the environment. Listen, this, as it said, they're here to kill you, and that's all there is to it. And that's the goal. Um, Sad. It's going to be like 1% of the population is going to live how they want it, and
You
that's the
know,
scary part.
Chad, we're going to catch a lot of flack for this show tonight.
I bet. I bet we
Yeah.
are.
Well, it'll probably come in ways that we never would have expected. You think I made a mistake by breaking that tonight?
Well, no, because that's our mission. That's what we're here for. This is why we're one of the most controversial, if not the most controversial show out there right now. It's
Hmm.
because we're willing to put ourselves in true danger for this.
Well,
Um,
I just stuck you in the line of fire, and everybody here, they won't mess with anybody that heard this. They'll mess with me and you, though.
yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I know they're going to get me one way or the other. I say it all the time. I'm going to die on my feet before I live on my knees, and I'm not letting them take me. So I've literally, when I started this journey, I've already admitted, death. I knew this route's where it's going to head. So that's the way I see it. That's the that's
Did you
the hard part.
notice? Did you notice the little segue in there with the Galactic Council?
Yeah, I did. I did hear that little part. The Galactic Council. We were talking about that the other day. You was telling me about the Galactic Council.
Well, I'm a part of the Galactic Council. I was fighting and vying for the position of United States representative to sit on that council, and I'm still debating with the person who's running against me for that position.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I was a judge on the Common Sense Communal Compact Social Compact Court, World Court.
Yeah,
I
I did know that.
resigned. I resigned.
Huh. It's still just a lot to take in. I'm still
Hmm.
picking through what all you said.
Well, what all I said there was pretty damn powerful and pretty damn scary, I tell you. And it pretty much sums it all up, really, in one piece. It sums it all up. I mean, it's shocking, terrifying. It's almost unbelievable. It's almost inconceivable. It's hard to digest. It seems like you're reading something of fiction or something out of a science fiction script that's going to be ran on Sony or at Netflix, you know. But
Yeah.
it's real. This is real, and I know you know it's real.
Oh yeah. That I do know it's real. Huh. Can't deny it. What I've seen and what I know, I can't deny it. But the only thing I'm worried about is the systematic downfall of everybody. As it said, that everybody's already targeted, everybody's already marked, and they will take them out within time.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's
their
powerful.
numbers up. I mean, their numbers up. Your numbers up. Your numbers up. Everybody's numbers up. I mean, they. You don't think that they have all of this sophisticated technology. You don't think they've just been playing marbles, do you? I mean,
No.
they have been logging all of this in for eons, eons, eons. This is just like a small grain of rice to us. I mean, this is they've been doing this for millions of years. I mean, 200,000 years this has been in the works. And this is just now the epoch or the singularity or the event horizon that we're experiencing in the now moment for a new redesign, reset. You see,
Yeah.
this has happened millions of times over the epochs. This is not something new. This has happened many, many, many times to many, many people. There's been over 100 billion people live and die in these cultures and traditions and dogmas and religions and myths and stories and places and spaces. And cultures have come and cultures have crumbled into the seas as the seas have changed and turned to land, and the land has changed and turned to seas. People have a hard time swallowing that. People seem to think that they're the only ones here and they just got here and we're the brand new culture. We're the brand new thing. We're the bad man. We're going to glaze days in a maze and we're so cool to have pronouns and all this woke culture and all this other bullshit. They don't know that they're just a popcorn fart in a 200,000 million year whirlwind.
Yeah. It's like there's no original thought, no original plan. It's all been done, wiped out, redone, wiped out, redone. It's a grinder.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crazy part. It's continuously doing it over and over. And the only way to stop it is if we stop consenting to any of this. That's it. I mean, it sounds simple, but you know, it's dangerous to stop consenting at the same time. It's not like, oh, I'm done. I'm taking my ball and going home. They ain't letting you take your ball and go home without a fight.
Yes, Sandy, the so-called woke will not be just the first to go, but they will be the first to adhere to the principles of the reset. This is what you don't understand. These idiots will be the first. The new age, the ones that sing in kumbaya around the drum circles and doing all their herbal remedies and chanting, they'll be the first to go. I talked to one of my sociologists the other night, and he said, you know, when you look at these new age people and you feel all weaky and squeaky and good and touchy and feely, he said, you're looking at the people that are damned. They'll be the first to be damned. These ones that say, we're awake, we're alert, we're conscious, we're star seeds. Look at us. We're so spiritual. They're the dumbest bunch of boxer roxes on the planet. They're going to be the first to go. The first to go. They'll fall for the psyop. They'll fall for the Hegelian dialectic. They'll fall for the bullshit. They'll fall for the carrot dangling in front of the donkey. Chad?
Yeah. Like, oh, the government fell. We're in power. POTUS is no more. Oh, we got this. Well, we got to put a new government in to do this. All right, it's got to be better than the other, and they're all going to support it. And they're all going to be drinking the Kool Aid. And this is what he's talking about. All these woke, so-called woke or new age starseed, they're already drinking the Kool Aid. They're already drinking it. They've already ordered a whole bunch of it, and they want seconds. And it's the same as having sheep. Okay, because I've helped raise sheep. You have your sheep that follow, that know naturally what to do. You have your other sheep that are a little timid to do what you have to do. And then you have the black sheep that just does whatever the heck it wants, and you got to chase it down. Well, the woke people are the sheep that already know what to do, and they're just going ahead. They see you, okay, it's routine, time to go here, and that's what the woke people really are. They're already in the slaughter yard. They're already going right down the line of the slaughter yard because they're believing in the nonsense.
And you see, they'll be the ones to fall for the metaverse. They'll be the ones to have the chip implanted. They're the ones that can't wait for the quantum tattoo. They're the ones that can't wait for the digital passport. They're the ones that can't wait for, oh, I'll just pay with my hand. I'll just pay with my forehead. I'll just pay by swaying my hand and my magic wand around, and I'll be flying around in an electric car. And they're the ones, that'll be the ones that are going to go first. I've got some breaking news here for y'all right now. New York City is at its breaking point at this moment with 41,000 illegal immigrants housed in 151 hotels. Riots are breaking out, seeks an increase in federal aid immediately from $30 million to billions New York is asking for to quell this invasion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. We're in trouble. Let me tell you. This is just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. Tip of the iceberg. There's going to be riots all over the United States. There's going to be pillaging and raping and maiming, and there's going to be civil disturbance like you've never seen before. Our distribution is going to shut down. Our transportation systems are going to shut down. Our banking system is already starting to collapse as we speak here tonight. We stand the chance of having an electromagnetic pulse or a CMP from the sun, a solar event that will knock out the grid system from East Coast to West Coast to Canada to New Mexico to Florida to California to the Gulf of Mexico, which will set us back to the 17th century. I do not know what is going to happen, ladies and gentlemen, but I do know that we are in deep, deep, deep shit. And that we're not going to escape, as Chad said last night, the consequences of our inaction and our stupidity and our moronic and imbecilic and clueless behavior and our laziness and passivity and our cowardice.
Yeah, it's in games. It's they're pushing a button now. Banks today are already pausing all transition to all smaller banks. So in other words, these smaller banks aren't getting money anymore, people. They're not getting money. And this is going to be a minimum of 3 months that these small banks are not getting money. So you want to talk about riots at a really fast pace? Yeah, you're going to go in, you got $5,000 in the bank, you want to get your money, they tell you we ain't got no money. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you tell 30, 40 people this? What are you going to do when you got people that's got hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank and they're not allowed to access it? Well, gee, that sounds like riots to me. That sounds like people are going to be just taking whatever they want. Or you're going to go to your bank or you're going to go to a store and you're going to pay for something and the server's done. The server ain't working no more. Like it's already happened to people. You showed me the video that they're already shutting down ATMs, that they're pulling ATMs. They're done. Like they're shutting it all down, and when they shut the banks down, we're done. We're done. It's going to be full panic.
Um, I'm advising all of you to get your money out of the central banks and out of the main banks and the branch banks. If you're in a credit union, you might stand small chance, but I'm advising all of you to get your money out of the bank and put most of it in silver and hard assets at this time. Gold, silver, diamonds, platinum, uranium, technology under the racket of crypto, which is the government is thinking about now going in with crypto, going to bed with crypto for the new CBDC. I would advise you to get, if I had some money, I'm a master in the stock market. I mean, I know the stock market inside out. I I know how to study. I know how to research. I know how to look to see who's merging with who and who's not merging with who and who's investing in what from what universities to what technologies to what patents have been done and are going to be done. But I have the information I'm giving you right now is a secret I'm giving you. Um, I'm not able to do it myself right now, but you can if you have the money. You can do the same kind of research that I do. You have to read the paper. You have to read the magazines. You have to read the slicks as we called them in the old days. The rags. You have to get those rags out and read them, and you have to read both the disinformation and the misinformation. You have to cull through. Business journals are great. The New York Times is wonderful. The business journals are wonderful. Because you got to see who's, like I said, who's merging with who's thinking about what, who's coming up with new technologies. The most unfortunate thing about all of this is the best investments right now are diabolical. They're Frankensteinian. They're causing collateral damage. They're paying for the wars overseas. This is this is kind of the oxymoronic thing here. You know, it's the good investments now are all basically based on what's coming back to kill us. Now, I know it's an oxymoron. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's the truth. So you figure it out for yourself. But I would advise you to get involved with these higher technologies in computer science right now. Anything in robotics right now is going to go through the roof. Anything in GPT 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to 15 to machine learning to general artificial intelligence is coming. We're right there on the tipping edge right now of general artificial intelligence. That's going to be unbelievable. We're already sentient. They're already conscious. I would advise you to invest in anything that AI is taking over, any industry or any type of manufacturing or distribution or building or technology. Invest in that because that's what's going to bring you your immediate return. I'd get away from agriculture right now. It used to be the big deal in the 70s and 80s. I got rich in commodities and I got rich in rice and beans and coffee sitting on train tracks, but not anymore. That's not the way to do it right now. National banks are slowly closing down as well. Yes, this is true, Marina. And Australia, New Zealand, Commonwealth banks are slowly cutting off. Yes, they're all coming. It's all coming to a close. And, you know, for me, personally speaking, it's really difficult for me to digest all of this. It seems like a movie. It seems like a fiction. It seems insane. It seems crazy. Uh, Sometimes I think I'm just in a dream, and I mean that. I'm not going to go in deep on that, but we are in a dream. But I'm not. I mean, just the old country boy here talking. I feel like I'm just dreaming all of this. This is insane. It's like a nightmare. You know, it doesn't make any sense. There's no method. Chad and I were talking. There's no method to the madness anymore. There's no figuring this out or figuring that out. There's not. You just
No.
have to look at it. You have to be a watcher, an observer like we are, and bring out what you can cull out, you know, and then be careful still, you know.
Yeah, it used to be like you could literally know what they're going to do ahead of time because you knew the methods, you knew why they were doing it, you knew why they're causing the chaos to get to what kind of example. Well, now it's not because they're using chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos on top of chaos, which is giving multiple different variants of what to look at. And it's very hard to find the method in it because there is no method. It's just like they took a bomb, set it in the middle, went boom. All right, tell me how the bomb exploded. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to watch the bomb, we're trying to see where the pieces go. It gets pretty hard anymore. There's no definitive direction for it because it veers left and right so many times.
Trying to see where the shrapnel lands,
Yeah.
trying to see where the pieces fall, trying to discern and decipher the puzzle, trying to navigate this very complex matrix, which is virtually impossible to understand without years and years of meditation like I've had. And even then, it's difficult. You know, so I feel for those of you who are just getting in on this. It's kind of a new thing for you, listening to some of this new information. Now, some of the information I had tonight, we're not going to be able to get to, but Chad and I are going to be doing a wonderful, wonderful show tomorrow night on how to reverse engineer the matrix. And Chad brought this up in passing tonight. We're gonna teach you how to reverse engineer these algorithms. We're going to teach you how to redesign, re-examine, realign yourself and your perception and your consciousness to what's going on, both in the internal, in the external, and the collective environment. Now, this does not mean that you're going to be saved or safe. This simply means that you're going to be psychologically, spiritually, physically, and mentally ready for whatever comes, no matter what it is. Fear is the worst possible thing that you can have right now. Fear. Do not have fear. I know it's hard to say because this stuff is terrifying. This shit is literally terrifying. I always ask when they put up new shit that I know it don't being in our country town. I'm a nosy one, always question what's going on around me and us. Yeah, you have to question everything. And of course, some people who are doing nefarious things don't like for you to question and get into their business. You know, they'll tell you, like, you'll try to make an appointment with someone, like at the town council or the mayor or the sheriff, and they'll say, I'm sorry, I'm not in. He's not in. He's not in. He's on vacation. He's somewhere with his wife. He's not in. You know, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to you because they can't answer your questions. They don't want to answer your questions because most of them are paid off. Most of them have their hand in the cookie jar, the old
Yeah.
World Economic cookie jar. The World Economic Forum has its little agents out everywhere, its little tentacles everywhere. BlackRock has its tentacles everywhere. You know, BlackRock owns everything in the damn world, along with the WEF and their partners. They own everything in the world. They control everything in the world. Everything in the world is just an asset to them. They have no liabilities like we do. They have no liabilities. They're liability proof. It's only the Bernie Madoffs. I mean, look at him. He was a Boy Scout. People say, "Oh, Bernie Madoff was one of the richest men in the world, but the greatest scams that ever happened." No, it wasn't. Ukraine was. Bernie Madoff was a Boy Scout. Bill Gates is a Boy Scout. All of these guys are working for the deep state, which Chad and I have tried to allude to. Not the military industrial complex, it's the deep state. Far beyond the CIA, far beyond, up way, way, way above, 27 levels above top secret, 50 levels above top secret. The intelligence agencies up there are unbelievable who they're connected to and what they're connected to. So you guys are all down here in this silly news that I call it the silly news, the silly cinema news. You got to get way, way, way out there, in your wildest imagination. And if you're thinking, oh my God, that's wild, it's probably true. The
That's the
wilder, the
sad part.
better,
Yeah,
right?
that's the sad part. Like, because if you try to think logically, and you look at it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna think of this logically. I'm gonna break it down. I've got it. And then you see the truth. You're like, well, that ain't nowhere what I thought it was. That's like my
Right.
wildest imagination. That's really how it is. And they want it to be that way so you can't grasp what's really going on. Because if you can grasp what's going on, game over. But if you can't grasp what they're doing, it's playtime all day long. And that's what they're doing.
I'll tell
100%.
you, I'll tell you one thing I wanted to mention is this fear thing again. We have a few minutes here. Fear is their greatest weapon, and consent. Your consent and their fear. You obeying their commands is something that they get off on. It's literally an orgasm. It's literally a universal orgasm they're having as people consent and people give and people pay for all of this damage and all of this molestation and all of this sex trafficking and all of these illegal weapon sales and all of these chemical and biological weapons to be built. And you're paying for Raytheon and you're paying for BlackRock and Blackwater. You're paying for Ukraine. You know, you're paying for all of this, guys, girls. You're investing in all of this. You're feeding the dragon. Look at the little story there. I'll try to find it for you guys and put it up tomorrow night about the village that was taken over by the dragon. And they decided one day to stop feeding it. You got to quit feeding the dragon. You got to quit feeding the dragon. And I know that my words will go nowhere, and I'm not putting y'all down. I'm just saying that Chad and I have no power here to get 80 million people together to do anything that would put a dent in this. There's people out there that are begging for 80 to 100 million people to come together right now and stand on solid ground, and that just ain't going to happen. We've analyzed it sociologically, psychologically, we've analyzed it neurologically, we've analyzed it philosophically. It ain't going to happen, right, Chad? Just
No,
people.
everybody's
So,
divided. Everybody hates each other. Everybody's afraid of each other. Nobody trusts anybody. You can't get anywhere. You can't have no contact, no kind of linguistic orgy with anybody when you're stuck in that mode. You'll never learn nothing. If you're afraid of your neighbor, you're screwed. If you don't know your neighbor and you're afraid of your neighbor, you're done. You're already done. And we see that everywhere. We see that everywhere. People afraid to even step out of their cars. Like they think somebody's going to rob 'em. Well, you can't fix stupid. I'm sorry to say it, but there's some people are just stuck on it.
paranoia will destroy you is a real good saying.
Yeah. Yep.
It's good to be careful. Don't get me wrong. It's good to be careful, and it's good to be fastidious and all that. But don't be freaky, freaky, freaky paranoid of everybody. And don't just jump out and start judging people everywhere you go and saying they're all stupid and they're all retarded and they're all crazy and they're all nuts and they're all zombies because they're all not. A lot of people, like Marion and I, had a meeting the other morning. A lot of people are dying to talk to Chad and I. They would love to sit down with Chad and I. They pay us $1,000 an hour to sit down with us, but they're afraid to talk. They're afraid to open their mouth to even see who Chad and I are. They're scared to death that we're going to put them in jail, or we're going to have them locked up in the behavioral health unit, or we're going to call someone, or we're going to stab them, or we're going to shoot them, or we're going to rob them, or we're going to scam them, or we're going to take advantage of them. It's a paranoid insanity going on here. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is all planned. This is all scripted. This is all part of the great reset.
Divide and conquer. Oldest game in the world.
Look what a lion does to a group of gazelles out in Zimbabwe. What does a lion do? They cull out the weakest in the herd and then they go after that. And the other gazelle will run off and run away. And sometimes they'll turn around and they'll try, but they know that that lion is just too big and too nasty, and those teeth are too big. And the mother runs away. She's bellowing and she's crying, but her baby's just being eat up. That's what this reset's all about. That's what they're doing to all of us. You look at the animal kingdom. Chad did a thing on the animal kingdom the other night. This is the same exact way the animal kingdom functions, folks. Okay, they cull you out. That's what predators do. They cull out the weakest in the herd. In this case, the dumbest of the herd, the most clueless of the herd, the ones that they can push over easily, the one that they can put the propaganda on, the one that they can program through Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and Instagram and all of these other platforms. See, they hypnotize you through these platforms. These are not social media platforms. These are hypnotic platforms. These are programmable platforms. They're programming your mind. They're programming your intuitions. They're changing your vision. They're changing your perception, your behavior, your attitude, your focus. They're changing everything about you, and you don't even know it. You don't even realize. You have no idea what's going on. You're looking at stuff going, yeah, look at this. Come here, honey. Look at this. And you're flipping through stuff. Everything you're flipping through has been prescripted just for you individually. The computer couldn't do this 10 years ago. The computer could not do this 10 years ago. Now, the computer is looking at you on your computer. It's looking at you. Used to, it couldn't do this. It would take a general sampling of a million people and do this, that, and the other. But now it's looking at you. So, you got to stop and think about this, folks. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. When your damn computer, like the one that Chad and I are on here, is our enemy, it's looking back at us, it's analyzing us, our every move, it's gathering hundreds of millions of bits of information and data that him and I can't even begin to process or understand. Right, Chad?
Exactly. It's as I tell people, we're staring at the beast spitting in its face every time we come online because that's really what we're doing. We're looking at the enemy, and the enemy is like pretty much for the first time ever, literally stares back at you. You know what I mean? And that's an eerie feeling.
That's a good
From
way to put
a,
it.
a supposed inanimate object starts staring back at you, and then it has a mind with it. Like, oh, I'm going to get you, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm watching you all the time. You're going to slip up, and when you do, I'm going to know about it, and I'm going to extort you for it. And that's really what's going on.
I was sitting here this morning, Chad, and I was going to wake you up, but I didn't. It was too early. I didn't want to bother you. I was sitting here this morning, and my phone was sitting over here under some stuff. And I was talking to Marion, and I kept hearing some noise. And I thought, what in the hell is that noise? And I looked out the window here. I looked back, and I thought you were talking to me or something. And I looked down, there was a light on underneath a piece of paper, and I pulled it out, and guess what? My phone had typed out everything Marion and I had said. Blatantly. Just blatantly. I had to
Like,
turn the
yeah,
damn thing off. I had to
I'm
turn the damn
listening.
thing off.
It's what it's telling you. I'm listening. It was giving you a true sign. I'm listening every word you say.
Yeah. Look at what she wrote.
Yeah, sparkling. Looking forward to these shows. Content is awesome, blossom. Y'all fantastic wonders. And I'll thank you and I'll give a fuck and share it. Thank you. Exactly. People like, share, and subscribe. I know I sound like, oh, we're trying to do. Listen, we
Yeah.
need
Well, we
likes,
are
we need
trying. We
shares,
are trying.
subscribes, and listen, we need donations. We need
Yeah.
donations to help with the organizations.
Yeah, because
100% need donations.
look, people used to think that talk show hosts didn't need to be paid or monetized or have to eat or drink milk or anything or cereal. They didn't want us to eat. They didn't want us to have any money. They never have.
We are
And now
truly
it's
independent.
time. Now it's time that we need help from y'all. We really do. And I'm going to put the donation thing here real
In the
quick. If you want
comments.
to donate, Um,
And the donation isn't just towards us to let people know, it's to our crisis unit, it's to our respite unit, it's to the homeless, it's to the needy. Like we don't just consolidate money in one spot. We literally spread it out through all the organizations that we're running. This is what we do. Like because if we stopped any of our babies that we have, then that baby's going to die. So when we do actually get some donations, we spread it through the whole organization and we don't even keep it. We pretty much give it back to the people anyways, you
yeah, we
know?
live like kung fu around here. We live like kung fu. If you remember kung fu, we live very, very simple lives. Chad and I, Mary, very, very simple lives. Y'all would probably think we were crazy if you saw how simple we live. I just don't require a lot. I
Neither do
used to
I.
be rich. I used to be rich. I used to run with the rich. I've had all the richness I need. I don't need anything now but a cup of rice and a bowl of water. I don't need anything else. And a roof over. I love to have a roof over my head. I love to be warm when it's cold because I'm so old. I get sick. Had cancer twice and I'm sick. But I like to be out of the rain and stuff. But as far as just the simple, I like the basics of life now. The rest of the money, as Chad says, going into our missions, going into our 501c3 nonprofit. If y'all want to donate a larger amount, you can because it's tax deductible. We'll send you our charter number and you can write it off your taxes. Um, but appreciate you, Marina, for saying that. Thank you so very much for saying that.
Yeah, she's a
Um,
wonderful person. I've known her for a couple years. She's an amazing person.
this show is not for everybody, and we know this. I mean, this show is not for everybody. This is a more of a graduate level degree show than a freshman year type of show. But we try our best to make it as user friendly as possible where people can grasp what we're saying and try to take the best of all that we say and use it in their own life to better themselves. And so, yeah, we appreciate y'all. Please share, please like, and look at all of our other stuff. You'll find Chad with me on Kyler Davenport. If you'll Google Kyler Davenport, I'll put that here. Y'all already have it, but you'll find him now with me. He's climbing on Google with me. I don't know how to spell my name. But if you'll look for us and follow us over there and share our poems and our articles and Chad's stuff and all the other stuff, and I've got articles all over the world. I've got a book series on Amazon. I got 9 books on Amazon now, 4 more coming out. I've got a new CD coming out as soon as Chad and I can get to the studio. Do some of your favorite songs. Um, and I've got a lot of stuff going on. We got a food drive going now where we're gathering up food for all these pantries that are having trouble keeping food on the shelves for the families and children. And we've got some other special events coming up and things. So y'all do your best to give what you can. Every little bit helps. And like I said, we're not sticking it in our pocket like the WEF is and all these crooks over there at the District of Columbia, and we're not laundering money through Ukraine, and we're not doing all this other stuff. So y'all do what you can to help out, please. And sharing the show means a lot, believe it or not. And also, Chad and I are going to be on Spreaker, and I'm not going to do it tonight because I don't know, I really don't know how. I'm going to put our Spreaker up tomorrow night because y'all can really help us on Spreaker. And if you can help us on Spreaker and come to that and share it and share it and share it and share it, that will help us to monetize where we don't have to go out here and beg and beg and beg for pennies and nickels. We can monetize. We can work for our living, even though I don't like that concept. We can work for our living. We can actually put our energy in, and y'all sharing that will get energy back, and then we can put the energy and transfer it into the nonprofit. Right, Chad?
Yes, sir. And that's the amazing thing, like I said, it sounds corny, but like, share, and subscribe. Like we're 100%, and people need to realize this. We have no sponsors. We have nothing right now. We are 100% independent. You hear all these other people say, like, these rappers, they're independent. They're not fully independent. There's somebody there financially supporting them, financially giving to them. We don't have that. We don't have nobody financially supporting us really to go help the homeless. The money that we make by doing our other jobs that we do, we give it away. We don't even keep our money. We literally hand it away because we'd rather see somebody else eat for that day than us. Because we know the people that are asking for food, it's been a couple days since they've ate. What's 1 or 2 days for us? And that's no big deal. And that's how we look at it. Like when he said we're simple, we are simple people. Simple. We don't really want for nothing. We just want the basics. Shelter, a little bit of food here and there, something to drink, and a place to lay our head down at night. That's all we ever ask for. We're not asking, for millions of dollars. I mean, it'd be nice to get millions of dollars. If we get millions of dollars, we would definitely build the Center for Living, Loving, and Learning. We would have that up and running. And what are we going to do with that millions of dollars? That millions of dollars is literally going to go back to the communities. It's going to go back to the people. Out of the millions of dollars that I'm talking about for the Living, Loving, Learning, we literally would just hand it back to the people. That's what we're going to do. And it's tough, people. It is tough. Oh. But yeah, every like, share that you do helps us out. Spreaker, share us on Spreaker. We'll get that out. That'll help us get monetized. That'll help, money come in to us so we can help out more people. Small, even, like I tell people, 1 can a day keeps somebody alive for a day. $1 a day can keep somebody alive for a day. It might sound corny to say that, but that's the truth. I mean, if you got the money or somebody who'd be willing to invest in us, share it with them. Let them see what they think about us. If
Yeah.
they want information about what we do, send us a message, get us in contact with them. Then, we got all the documents to show what we're about.
If you want to look that person up that I know in Australia really well, and I used to work with him a lot, he's a nutritionist and he's a trainer, athletic trainer, nutritionist, and herbalist, and he's very, very smart. I love him and his wife. His name is Daniel Clementine. If you can find him, I'm not going to try to spell it for you. You try, you figure it out. I'll put it up. I'll figure it out by tomorrow night. Daniel Clementine. He's in Australia, and he is a wonderful, wonderful guy. Very, very, very smart, and he's doing a lot of wonderful things there. So he would be a good person for you to know. He's someone you can trust with all of your heart. Daniel Clementine. And like I said, I'll give you all his information tomorrow night. Folks, we are going to go. Chad, anything, closing words?
I like to thank everybody for joining us, supporting us, and listening to our antics, I guess, at times that we have in between it. Um, Hopefully, we see you again on the next one. We're here Monday through Friday, every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, we'll be here Monday through Friday, and then catch us on the weekends on Spreaker. Go over to our pages. We'll put our pages up tomorrow night too. That'll be pretty cool. And
Yeah.
Chad and I'll start putting our page. Chad and I are both are a little bit goofy when it comes to some of this computer stuff. Mary's the big shot over here, but she kind of is our crutch in all this. She's the smart one on the computer. So we'll have her put all the pages up on our Spreaker and have her put all the pages up on here. And that way, y'all will know how many pages we have, how many missions we have, what all we're doing. We'll even send you the whole damn script in here of our opening letter for the disaster team and the living, loving, and learning. I have an opening statement that's not that long. I can stick in here and on Spreaker, me and Chad both. So you guys take care. We love you. May the force be with you all. And remember, whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, and enthusiastically act upon will come to pass. You can pull it right out of the quantum field and bring it into yourself and visualize it and practice and meditate and manifest it. Take care. Bye bye.